Assalamualaikum and welcome to Insider TV on Aurora Studio channel, your favorite channel. As usual, I'm Izarami, your moderator for today's content. The topic that we are going to discuss about for today's would be related to the current situation in online learning. No, it is not a boring topic, but it is a good topic to discuss as we don't cover enough about the real experience that is so sudden where we have to adapt to it very quickly. Therefore, we bring three panelists from a different background. We have Dr. Shafika Razani, a psychologist doctor from Ampang Putri Specialist. How are you, doctor?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I'm good too, and good to hear that. And then we have Encik Fitri Aimal, a lecturer of business administration from UTM.
Everyone.
Okay, and lastly, we also bring a student from UITM Puncak Alam, Nadia Hamdan. So, before that, Nadia, what is your major and what semester are you in now?
Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, an event management student from UITM Puncak Alam. I am currently in semester 5.
Awesome. Okay, so first thing first, let me explain about today's topic, which is online learning. It's an education that takes place over the internet. It is also but having the type of a distance learning. And I think all of you might have comfortable to hear it, but we never normalized having so prior to a physical class, that is how we are supposed to learn. We go to class, we see our friends, teachers, and lecturers, we interact face to face, and I think now we don't have any options to attend classes or meetings rather than attending it through online platform, just like how we are now. So the first question that we are going to discuss about, and I think everyone, education sectors use and which is the best option.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So to answer the question, a variety of online communication channels were used as emergency remote methods to communicate with students for online learning activities. So during the MCO time, many higher education institutions pushed for training programs, and most Malaysian universities provided online training for lecturers and instructors to help them use the online platform for online learning and teaching. So there's been a research being conducted to analyze the best method or platform that we use the most from different online learning technologies. Platforms are being used in many Malaysian universities by both educators and students. So in terms of usage, among Malaysian institutions and students, Google online platforms programs scored first, which is 100%, and followed by WhatsApp, 64% as a medium of communication for online learning. For WebEx, Zoom and Google Meet were recognized as the third and fourth most popular online learning tools, respectively, with usage rates of 60% and 35%. And surprisingly, the most popular social media network among the most widely used online platforms for online learning and communication when compared to the other four most commonly used programs for online teaching and learning.
Right, and in fact, the platform that we use now is Zoom Meeting, which is very user friendly and easy to handle. So, Dr. Shavika Razani, I already briefly explained about what online learning is and which platform is suitable to use. But what truly causes online learning in 2020?
In the year 2020, the country has seen unprecedented change to the dynamic and culture of education due to the COVID-19 pandemic that caused schools and varsities to halt operation at certain period. The situation has forced millions of students across the country to fully utilize their laptops or devices and start learning from home via online. In that time, we were questioning, is Malaysia's education ready for the new era of learning? The first wave of COVID-19 infection started on January 24th with the 12 had a travel history to affected countries. 8 cases were close contacts and 2 were from a humanitarian mission. On January 30th, the MOE had postponed the registration of the students from China, and as the second wave hit the country on February 27th, MOE had directed the postponement of large gatherings such as sports programs, co-curricular activities in all schools across the country with effect from March 13th. The government later imposed the MCO nationwide, of all preschools, government, private schools, including daily schools, residential schools, international schools, staff fees, and other primary, secondary, and pre-university institutions, as well as colleges. So as lockdowns eased and daily COVID-19 cases were going down, after months of school holidays, schools reopened across the country. But then, unfortunately, the third wave of COVID-19 hit the country in late September after the Sabah election. The government abruptly announced on November 8th, closed starting the next day until the end of the 2020. As for the tertiary education students, both in private and public institutions, the MOHE announced that all lectures must be conducted purely online with no face-to-face lessons allowed starting May 27th until December 31st. So for 2020, the education sector in Malaysia had seen a paradigm shift in teaching and learning process and shaping the community for the new normal with the technology dependence, but also for the lecturers, teachers, and all of the people involved in the institution.
Yes, I agree. These COVID cases in Malaysia is very concerning day by day, and may our country see the light to recover from this global pandemic. So next, how is the education sector responding to COVID-19 and Sheikh Fitri?
So basically, the COVID-19 has resulted in schools closing all throughout the world. Globally, about 1.2 billion youngsters are out of the school, and as a result, education is facing significant transformation with the rise of e-learning forms. Nonetheless, the campus closure and travel restriction order had an impact on formal learning, that students turn to online learning as the best option for continuing their education. So the Malaysian government has ordered the students to return to their hometowns in April 2020 and finish their education through online learning. So many governments around the world issued unexpected orders to follow quarantine and different phases of MCO, causing fear and terror. So due to the COVID-19 spread quickly, causing and organizations, including the educational system. So following that, on May 27, 2020, the Malaysia's Higher Education Ministry ruled that all teaching and learning activities in all universities and other higher education facilities must be conducted via online platforms until December 31st, 2020, while waiting for the notice to the year of 2021. So only a few learning activities might be physically or done face-to-face with tight guidelines to follow as an important step in preventing the face-to-face classes are not permitted during the COVID-19 pandemic because to the MCO imposed by the government, online learning is the only emergency survival option available right now.
Already opened the eyes, most of us here, because we don't really appreciate enough our educators' effort to do online classes, especially many of educators are baby boomers that doesn't really know much about technologies, but their effort to learn makes us so proud. We already have the educators' opinion. Now we moved on to Nadia Alam, currently in semester 5. Before that, can you share with us what semester were you in when this online classes started?
Yeah, I got the news that we were shifting to online learning when I was in semester 3.
Oh, so it has been 3 semesters now, and you have never been inside the campus since the COVID hit?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell us how was online learning from your perspective? Which
Absolutely. UiTM has moved all classes to open and distance learning, or ODL mode, effective started from 13 April 2020, which is last year, for all its campuses nationwide. All extracurricular activities are also put on hold, so I decided to stay with my parents. I never really understood the seriousness of everything until months passed and I realized that COVID-19 was no joke. I was not the biggest fan of online learning, but I knew everyone was making sacrifices because of the pandemic, so going online was not that bad in my mind if I put it in that perspective. I'm not good with technology, and to learn something, I need to be in the classroom as it helps me focus. In normal lectures, I can concentrate on what lecturers are saying, which makes it easy for me to understand a topic. Online classes, it does offer great flexibility. However, there were times I cannot fully experience online learning due to poor internet connections. Not only that, it is quite hard for me to focus on the topics that are being discussed as I cannot directly interact or ask lecturers questions. As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic is accompanied by strictly following isolation measures that have led almost everyone to confine at their homes, right? So most students have reported higher stress levels with the transition to online learning, which resulting in isolation, increased workload, physical strains, and changes in instructional support. Some students are struggling with online learning and decided to drop out because they could not stay motivated or maybe having a financial problem. However, I believe that the university and lecturers are doing their best in giving students the best online learning experience. In return, we the students should try our best to adapt to this online learning environment and never be afraid to seek help whenever needed.
Absolutely. And can you share with us what are the key differences between online learning and physical learning?
Okay, I bet there are many differences between online learning and physical learning, but I'm just going to share the major ones, or else we're going to be stuck in here for a while. The most obvious difference someone thinks of when comparing the two is the perceived lack of physical interaction. Physical learning involves physical interaction with the lecturers and peers, while online learning transfers this component to a virtual environment and there is human interaction, which is just that it happens online via virtual lectures and virtual discussion and etc. The second one is the students have 24/7 access to learning materials. With online classes, students can always access learning materials such as module contents, assignments, or recorded sessions anytime during their studies. Meanwhile, for physical learning, be it for school or university courses, a student has to visit the physical location to speak with the lecturers face to face during assigned hours. The third one is the assessments. The physical learning method of assessing a student's capabilities is usually through quizzes and exams, most often one in a physical setting supervised by an examiner. In online learning, assessments are undertaken via assignments, which can be either individual or group based.
I bet there are many challenges that these activities have. Therefore, we are going to hear from the educator's perspective. What is the challenge in Sheikh Fitri?
Uh, so so from 18 March to 25, and again from April 10 to April 28, the majority of Malaysian universities began to conduct all classes entirely through online learning platforms. So there are few of challenges that the educators, especially the lecturers and teachers, challenges is organization of work processes and time management. Lecturers or teachers are expected to switch their classes to the online learning immediately with no additional trainings or funds. So a comprehensive learning management system usually costs an arm and a leg. So teachers have to use numerous digital tools to deliver e-learning. So they begin each day by opening many tabs for various tasks and switching back forth and between them. So they attend virtual school, parents and student meetings are facing right now and decide on the teaching strategy. So also they need to evaluate the tasks that have been given from different sources, and they need to spend like almost 10 hours every day online to clean up the mess and put up processes and make online learning more efficient. So but this isn't the end of the list of difficulties with online education. Next is connectivity. Because of the growing use of online learning systems, video streaming software, and other digital technologies, millions of individuals around the world are facing technical challenges. So the platforms are overloaded with the low video and audio quality, as well as internet issue, or the present data plan is insufficient to meet the growing e-learning requirements. But and besides that, the biggest challenges that these educators facing during this COVID-19 is lack of interactions by the students. During the online lectures, it's hard to keep students engaged with a teacher's physical presence and face-to-face contact. So furthermore, there are certain subjects or classes that needed to do with physical action, such as science laboratory, and subjects that requires them to do the job on hand. So it is difficult for the lecturers and teachers to explain and put the words into reality, really on hands-on work such as nursing or art classes.
So, and what are the challenges that students like you, Nadia, usually face in online learning?
As far as I'm concerned, there are many challenges that students face in online learning. However, I will only be sharing the most common ones because, like I said prior, we do not want to be stuck in here for hours. One of the most common challenges is distraction at home. Delivery coming or kids running around behind can be disruptive, especially if you're in the middle of a visual classroom session. Not only that, for the students who are still living with their parents, like myself, we have additional responsibilities at home too, doing house chores, helping out our parents, hence resulting in procrastination and poor time management. Next are gadgets, shortage, and technical issues. Not every student and teacher have a personal gadget used for their online learning. Aside from that, many students are not provided with a high bandwidth or the strong internet connection that online classes require. And one most common problem that I think everyone's face is a computer crash that usually happen at the most unexpected moment. Last but not least, the biggest challenge is staying motivated. Online learning requires motivation to complete tasks, stay engaged, and make progress. When students are not surrounded by classmates and lecturers in a physical setting, it may be tempting to procrastinate and worse, not be able to catch up and get left behind. This factor alone will highly affecting students' motivation and learning progress.
These challenges are very tough and very worrying as we do not know what our limit is to face this kind of situation. And this thing also needs and on the news, educators and students were having a really hard time to commit as we are limited in staying home and we cannot go outside. It is really stressful. So, doctor, how to overcome stress while going through this online learning?
This is not something that we can change in just one night, and not everyone has the same ability to cope with the situation. Everyone got divided opinions when it comes to online learning. So, firstly, plan and prepare for your class. A whole lot of stress off your shoulders. The first wave of pandemic, the students were procrastinating for weeks, and it's because of the new adjustment that they thought they would be able to catch up eventually since all the materials were available online. Even if you are unable to prepare for classes in advance, ensure you attend the tutorials and listen to the lectures regularly. And then do talk to your friends and your family. University friends are half the reason that makes university life memorable. Now, many universities can still join student union groups, clubs, events, activities to keep connected with their peers and their university community. Talk to your family as well. Share your worries and anxieties about the semester with them. The third one is to reach out to the lecturers for help whenever necessary. Although lecturers and tutors seem to constantly pump out video lectures, tutorials, assignments, and other activities, they are very aware of the situation that we're in. Chances are they're also trying to be open to have a conversation with you and will be receptive if you take the first step to reach out. So don't hesitate to seek assistance or advice when you need it. Fourth is to look after the physical health. The ultimate reasons for lockdowns, restrictions, quarantine is to safeguard our health. And staying glued to your laptop, cell phones, screens within the four walls of your room for extended periods of time, it is detrimental to your mental and physical well-being. Therefore, it is essential to eat healthy, do some stretching, or maintain a regular sleeping pattern to wake up fresh and perform tasks for the day. Next, the fifth tips is to take breaks at regular intervals. It is a really important reminder for us to avoid physical strain and mental burnout. Studying during this pandemic has not been easy for most students. They go through mood swings, roller coaster of emotions much more than before. So it's not ideal to spend all day working or studying. The last one is to always prioritize mental health. Make sure you're not spending too much time on social media that it's burning you out or causing you to procrastinate your studies. It's easy to get carried away with misinformation or the picture perfect presentation of your friends on social media during the lockdown. So, if you're scrolling on social media a lot, then you must be mindful about what you're exposing yourself to. When you identify yourself worrying or overthinking about something, take a step back and analyze the situation. If you think you cannot handle the anxiety or the stress that follows, talk to your family or to your trusted friends. But if you notice that you're not coping well, please seek for professional help.
That is a very good tip, and I bet there are students and educators following the tips as well. Because with having stress, it would affect it not only our mental, and I pray that none of us here are having a long time burnout. So to Unchi Fitri, for the next question, how do you help students in gaining their attention to stay motivated?
So basically, staying focused and motivated are the two main challenges university students are experiencing ever since they had to switch from face-to-face to the virtual and remote method due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So the best motivation for the lecturers and teachers can give is to always remind the students about the reason why you are in school and studying. They enroll in online courses for a reason. Maybe you want a better job, or you want to pursue a career such as an associate or bachelor's degree. So they might pick up some useful new information that will help you advance in your work, and or you might learn how to think more critically. So reminding yourself on how amazing you'll feel after you finish the course and go on to the next step of your life or profession will help you to stay on track. And next, they need to aim for balance. Balancing work, school, and life might be challenging at times, but it is critical not to let any of one area of working adults since they are self-paced, but it is still possible to become so engaged in your studies that you neglect your personal life. So taking breaks from your studies will help you return them refreshed and ready to focus. But last but not least, it is always to stay positive. Feeling overwhelmed or getting behind can cause stress, but which is seriously demotivating. But it is not easy to turn a negative attitude into positive outlook, and that is only possible when you work hard. And there are only two things you want to do: to talk and to attend a lecture. So if you try to skip throughout your online course experience, you will find it makes everything a little easier.
Right, and that's true, in Fitri. So, and to Nadia, I heard that many students are dropping out of college due to so much pressure. They also lose all of their motivations and so on. So, what kind of motivation that drives you to continue
Okay, honestly, my biggest motivation is family and friends. They are my source of inspiration and my strongest supporters as well. Whenever I feel like giving up, they will encourage me to keep on going and advise me to finish what I have started. Hence, the reason why I'm still here today. In addition, I always stay positive, and that increases my adaptability to this new learning environment. I make sure to show up all the activities and learning during the sessions and connect with my friends and lecturers for asking and sharing information. For my 3 semesters of an online learning experience, I can say I am well adjusted now. I'm hoping that everyone out there also feels the same way as I do and keeps going. Let us all pray that this pandemic would end faster and everything returns to normal.
Yes, true. I think for now, the only motivation that keeps us going would be our own friends, as they also share the same situation. And lastly, to Dr. Shafika, is
There are pros and cons of online learning. Online learning was introduced years before this pandemic, but yet again, as I mentioned earlier, it was not designed for everyone. Of course, it is good for the long term, but it should not be the only way of education's journey in this pandemic. We received so many complaints and feedbacks from the students and even the lecturers. There are some parts that needs to be improved in terms of the technology, but we should not neglect the basic human. If everything will be online, how about the people who could not afford it? And this too shall affect them. What we have seen on the news, how the students coping with online learning, it is stressful for them. They lost their time management, they get distracted with so many other things, especially on the website, because everything is right in front of their eyes. They don't get to have the real experience of learning, although everything can be learned through the website. Effectiveness of online learning, it shows that only 20% out of 100 that enjoy online learning. The population from different genders, age, race, most of it is not coping with online learning very well. And after all, the system is made for for the students and the people. What should be prioritized right now is how to ease their job.
okay. Thank you, Doctor, for sharing with us. In conclusion, facing something for a long term sometimes gives a good and a bad effect, but depends on how the situation is. And from my opinion, physical class is much more better as we can interact with the humankind because we go out, we see the skies, we see the clouds, and we see the smile on familiar faces. So I hope that we can avoid this global pandemic, inshallah. To end, thank you to our panelists today for joining. Have a great day, everyone. And I'm Eza, signing off for this week's episode. See you again on Insider TV, only on our Studio channel. Bye.
Thank you.